Tonight, the Wall Street Journal. Donald Trump plans revamp of top U.S. spy agency. Will restructure and pare back the nation's top spy agency. People familiar with Trump's planning say advisors are working on a plan to restructure the CIA, cutting back on staffing at it.
Donald Trump's war and battles with the U.S. intelligence community did continue in earnest today. He posted on Twitter that Julian Assange said a 14-year-old could have hacked Podesta. Why was DNC so careless? Also said Russians did not give him the info. Also tonight, though, another report that's getting some traction that you might want to know about. This is in the Wall Street Journal, and it's about Trump's proposal to reform intelligence agencies, the very agency heads that he's meeting with this week. Here's what the Wall Street Journal is reporting, that Trump is working with top advisors on a plan that would restructure and pare back the nation's top spy agency, prompted by a belief that the office of the DNI has become bloated and politicized. This is what Rachel was mentioning at the end of her hour. Now, Trump has repeatedly claimed the intelligence on Russia is faulty. This is a far cry from his antipathy towards Russia just 2 years ago, based on intelligence or public reporting or something, because he wrote, Romney strongly stated in one of the debates with Obama that Russia's the big problem. Obama scoffed. Mitt was 100% correct. Also, he wrote, this is 2 years ago, the situation with Russia is much more dangerous than most people may think and could lead to World War III. End quote. Joining me now is Evan McMullen, a former CIA operative and former independent presidential candidate, as well as Charlie Sykes, editor-in-chief of Right Wisconsin and MSNBC contributor, who is writing a book, How the Right Lost Its Mind.
But the report says this nonetheless, that Donald Trump, and they believe that the CIA is trying to undermine Donald Trump's victory, his election victory, and that's part of the motivation, perhaps, to these so-called reforms of the intelligence community. I would point out that it is absolutely textbook for a strongman to come in and attack not only the media, they do that, but also intelligence and security services, try to weaken them, try to consolidate power within them. I mean, it's absolutely textbook. And I have to say, as a former intelligence officer myself, seeing his attacks on the press and then reading this report tonight really has me greatly concerned, perhaps more concerned than I've been all along.
Wow. Charlie, go ahead.
No, I mean, he's absolutely right. Over the last 24 hours, you see, Donald Trump taking Julian Assange at his word and mocking American intelligence agencies, and now looking like he might retaliate against them for blowing the whistle on the Russians. Look, if this was a monologue from Rush Limbaugh, it would be bizarre. But coming from the incoming president of the United States, it is genuinely alarming. And I agree with Evan about all of this, that I see the pattern here of Donald Trump trying to delegitimize any institution that might be a check on him, whether it is the news media or the intelligence community. And I do think we ought to connect the dots between those two things. He does not want these independent agencies who might actually be a truth detector on his administration.
I want to play Paul Ryan today reacting to some of this and sounding sort of wishful that somehow this will all change by Friday once Trump is briefed.
I think he has not received his Russia briefing yet. I believe that's scheduled for Friday. So hopefully he'll get up to speed on what has been happening and what Russia has or has not done. And he'll be better informed on that.
Then let me ask you what your opinion is of Julian Assange.
I really have none, other than I think the guy is a sycophant for Russia. He leaks, he steals data, and compromises national security.
It would be misguided for any of us to assume that Donald Trump is pursuing these activities just out of naivete. That is just not the case. Donald Trump understands exactly what he's doing. Charlie was exactly correct what he said earlier about his targeting of other sources of power, agencies and the press who might keep him in check. That's what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. This isn't a matter of Donald Trump being better informed and therefore changing course. He knows what he's doing, and that's what we need to be concerned about, and that's what we need to oppose.
I'm going to say this over and over again. This is another check, another test for conservative Republican patriots. This is one where, they're going to have to be willing to break with the president on this because the stakes are just too high. And I think that when we see the evidence from that report. I think that that's going to be a green light for a lot of people to follow Lindsey Graham's lead on all of this and say, look, you know, we're not going to cover up for Julian Assange and the Russians.
Right, and I think that's a fair point, but it raises another problem, which is Donald Trump trying to set a precedent where the premise is to disbelieve anything coming out from the government,
right,
and then they have to prove it up. That is never how we've done it. Skepticism, sure, but never done it quite like that, and certainly not by weighting some of the sources that Donald Trump has been trying to hold up as on par with our nation's intelligence. Evan McMullen and Charlie Sykes, thank you both.